Well, how's everybody doing today? Man, it's kind of a blistery cold day out there today. And got my wood stove fired up and check it right quick, make sure we are good to go. I get the door open. And she is nice and hot in there today. Man, if you guys don't have a wood stove in your shop, really ought to get one. Man, I just picked this one up, got it for nothing. Anyhow, heats up my shop really good. So today, man, I wanted to get with you guys and show you a little something else that may help you out there. And changing out your fuel pin on your VE injection pump on a Cummins. So if you've seen videos, everybody's like, hey man, put your new fuel pin in there, it comes out just fine in 2 seconds, 5 minutes, it's in the truck, and man, you got it all back together again, and then you're ready to go, right? Well, this one here was not the case. This one here is a little bit more difficult, and quite a bit more difficult, and I thought I'd kind of run you through the process in which I had to do to get my fuel pin out. So basically, you've seen a lot of videos, right? Everybody's, hey man, got your injection pump on your truck, and everything is good. In 5 minutes, you take your cover off, pull your fuel pin out, right? Put in your bigger fuel pin, slap it back together, and you're good to go, right? Well, this one here was not the case. Now, if you've got a engine that's running, you're not gonna have the issue that I had, but if for some reason you don't have an engine running, like the one that I bought used, and you're checking out your pump, this is what I ran into. Number one, you can't get this out. It's stuck, it's seized up in there, right? And you're trying everything in the world to get it to come out of there. And what you've got down here on the bottom is down in here, that little shiny pin down in there is what actually, when you move your throttle over here, this right here is what moves your pin back and forth. And I'm gonna take this out right quick just so you can see a little bit better. So you've got this right here is what actually moves. You can see that. See how it moves like that? And as you can see, that little pin has now disappeared in there, right? So what I'm gonna do is go back over here and show you right here what it looks like. So down in here, as you can see down there in the middle, right down there in the middle, you see a little bitty rod coming out of there. And what that is basically what rides on your fuel pin. Right here. Rides right there. So that's what that rides in. So as you build boost, this will push down and then allow that pin to slide up. And when you let off and you have less boost, then it rides back down, okay? So here's the problem that I had though, is you can't get your fuel pin out because of this little lip right here. Right here at the very bottom, there's a lip. And what happens is that little actuating rod that rides on there won't release far enough for this to slide out. Well, guess what? Mine was seized up. That little pin down in there was completely seized up. So what it's doing is it's staying against your fuel pin and can't release off of this little ledge to let your fuel pin ride out. So what I had to do is I had to soak this with PB Blaster for about a week down in there and working, just constantly trying to work, and it was stiffer than it could be. It would not slide in and out, okay? Now, something that you're gonna have to do as well is after you get this freed up, or probably before, because if you fill this up with PB Blaster and let that soak, you have to have this tight, okay? So that little Allen head bolt gets tight in there, just like that, so that you can fill this up with fluid, okay? So whenever you get ready to pull your fuel pin out, you still have to release this. You still have to unscrew this a little bit, okay? And the reason is because those threads actually protrude inside the body a little bit, and then it won't allow this little lever to go back all the way, because it needs to go back all the way that way, okay? Then that way that little actuating rod can slide back. So I had to fill this up, PB Blaster, had to work it, still wouldn't come out. okay? Because I couldn't get it freed up. I could push it in, but couldn't get it to push back out this way because of why? Because your fuel pin's in there, right? So let's pretend that this is what it's like in there, just like that. So that's down in there, just like this, okay? I can get it to push this way, but you can't get it to push that way because your fuel pin's in the way, all right? So then I had to pull this back and then fill this full of PB Blaster, fill this cavity up for several days as well. Then I had to come in here and just work this back and forth, all right? Eventually, I got it freed up, okay? So just remember though, in order to actually pull your fuel pin out, okay, you're on this one, you're gonna have to loosen this up a little bit, okay? Because this goes back to the very back side of that little plate right there. See that moving? And you need this to go all the way back, but it can't go back because it hits the back of these threads right here, okay? So anyhow, I hope this helps everybody, and to at least get that little actuating rod freed up, okay? And then once you get your fuel pin out, you're still gonna have to work it. I'm telling you, you're gonna have to work this thing back and forth, pushing it back and forth. Okay, now there is another way, is to take this screw out here of this housing and this one out. And then what that'll allow to do is actually take this little piece here out, okay? It will help grab the pin and work your pin out with maybe a pair of needle nose down in there, but it's still very, very difficult, okay? Now, something to keep in mind too is this little nylon, looks like a little bushing really, slides over your fuel pin. Make sure that's in that position and that right there before you reinstall it, okay? So that's real important. So you have to put everything back together, push your fuel pin all the way back, make sure that this is loosened up so it will go all the way back, because if not, it'll hang just a little bit. Push it back, then you can slide your fuel pin in, okay? Now it's important too that on your fuel pin to see where that little actuating rod has been riding. I don't know if you can see a little wear mark right there. That's where this has been riding. Now at one time it was in this position, okay? So you can rotate your fuel pin to have a little bit more steeper slope. If you pull yours out, you'll be able to see it. Maybe kind of hard to see in the camera, but you have a less steeper slope here and a much greater slope there. So you can mark these, put a little mark here, make sure you put it back together correctly. But most importantly, when you do put it back together, don't forget that little nylon bushing, and then you put it back together and be good to go. It should move nice and easily like that. So I hope this helps somebody out there, because man, it was very difficult. It was just all corroded in there. I had a difficult time. And this is your power screw here. That's where it comes out right there. It's your power screw. So PB Blaster is probably the best thing that I could tell you to do. It does do very well on corrosion and some buildup of rust in there as well. So good luck. And man, if anybody else had any situations out there trying to get your fuel pin out, let me know. Put it down in the comments. And also, if you guys haven't seen the rest of my videos, go to my channel, Jeep Man King. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. But I've got a full 11 series video on a Cummins rebuild and actually a Cummins swap on a 1998 Chevrolet K1500. And got some good videos on there. And also my up-and-coming plans and what I'm going to do for the channel. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Good luck with swapping out your fuel pin. Catch you later.